What's happening, everybody? Hello and welcome back to Total Blast, where we discuss about everything Marvel and the MCU. Guardians of the Galaxy Vol.3 was previewed earlier this year for Marvel fans at SDCC, but the footage wasn't made available to the general public. The trailer is finally here after months of anticipation. James Gunn's Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special debuted earlier this month exclusively on Disney Plus as a festive Christmas surprise for fans. And now, this is picking up aftermath of the holiday special event, and a few elements were placed in there to build up the future movie. James Gunn even claimed that the holiday special was beneficial because it spared him from having time on explaining why the Guardians had nowhere, Quill and Mantis, and the new spaceship called Bowie, and other things. Therefore, the key point from all of this is they now possess nowhere after purchasing it from the collector. They have repaired it because it was destroyed during the last event of Avengers Infinity War. The collector's ship was also visible at the beginning of Loki finale, and we have no idea what has become of him. Additionally, it was revealed that Peter Quill and Mantis are both related because Ego is their father. And yes, effectively adopted Cosmo, the space dog, played by Maria Bakalova, is now sailing on a new ship called Bowie, and Groot, played by Vin Diesel, has grown significantly since we last saw them, according to what we also learned. And now, the Guardians of the Galaxy Vol.3 trailer has been released. But before we thoroughly break this down, guys, we'll be giving out a brand new PlayStation 5 on this channel to one lucky subscriber. More on how to win at the end of this video. And if this is your first time, please subscribe and enable the post notification so you don't miss out on subsequent videos. The trailer now opens with Peter Quill's voice stating that though they have been gone for some time, the galaxy needs its Guardians no matter what happens in the future. While they were saying this, the Guardians' new enormous spaceship, which is now returning to what appears to be Earth, causes us to believe that it's still Earth until they exit the spacecraft. Now that Star-Lord and other Guardians of the Galaxy members are present, it is clear that they were all wearing brand new costumes. This attire closely resembles that of their comic book counterpart, particularly those from the Edition Legacy and Realm of Kings storyline. The Guardians of the Galaxy are currently aboard a new ship, and this is not the Ben Star as they've already seen. We also saw Mantis and Drax use their ship to get to Earth in the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. The movie director James Gunn revealed that the Ben Star is still present but considerably smaller, giving the impression that they just upgraded it to a larger ship. Although this planet resembles Earth in appearance, it is not Earth, and it is ruled by the main antagonist of the movie, who is also the person who created Rocket Raccoon. This villain is the High Evolutionary who is depicted in the trailer. As they exited the spacecraft, the Guardians declared that they've come in peace. Now, we get a better look at the people that live in the normal-looking neighborhood as a young child who resembles a Lomo attempts to be kind and offers them her ball, which Drax takes up, and right away he uses it to knock her unconscious. A quick response, the residents are in a fit of rage because they have been led to believe that they've not come in peace because of Drax's act, and they begin to hurl rocks at them. The Guardians get off on a rather rocky start with these new people in this new universe. Now, the homes, streets, and other structures on this new planet that the Guardians discovered, which is home to a human-like animal life form, all of them have an Earth-like appearance in the backdrop. I mean, they have cars. How wild is that? It also appears to be the location where Rocket Raccoon once escaped from. And just a quick reminder, Quill's statement that Guardians have been absent at some time, but that the galaxy needs their presence regardless of what happens, is most likely a reference to the snap, in which half of the Guardians' teams were killed, and Gamora was directly killed by Thanos. They were therefore absent for 5 years, that everyone else was snapped, except for Rocket and Nebula. Then, in the following scene, we catch a great glimpse of Star-Lord listening to music and thinking about Gamora while spotting some improved earphones. So, it's safe to assume that following the events of Endgame, the quest for Gamora will take up more focus in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. This scene then cuts to Mantis saying to Peter, "Don't forget where we came from." It's going to be fascinating to see if they address this issue in the movie, given that Gamora and Nebula both had father figures who tried to impose their will on the world, as does Peter and Mantis' relationship as siblings. And then later, we get to see a scene where a hand is reaching for a young raccoon in a cage. This young raccoon turns out to be Rocket, who was grabbed at a very young age and subjected to an experiment by the High Evolutionary, considering that Rocket Raccoon once said that he didn't ask to be made. He didn't ask to be torn apart and then put together over and over again, and turned into a little monster in the first Guardian of the Galaxy movie. The majority of this movie will concentrate on Rocket Raccoon's beginning and sort of wrapping up his story. James Gunn has already stated that he intends to complete Rocket's story in Guardians of the Galaxy Vol.3. In case you don't know who the High Evolutionary is, he's originally known as Herbert Wyndham in the comics. He became interested in the work of Nathaniel XX, better known as Mr. Sinister, after making his appearance in the Mighty Thor issue 133. He began conducting genetic research and even created a genetic accelerator, a machine that quickened the rate of evolution. Interestingly, this movie featured a lot of experimented character. The first is Cosmo, the space dog, who was given the greatest screen time in the most recent holiday special. The dog was set free in the special after the collector's base was destroyed in the very first film, and we heard it talk while watching it use its telekinetic abilities. She will still have a significant and a larger role in the film, and is voiced by Maria Bakalova. Going forward, we even get to see a scene where a young woman or a young girl was running on something while the High Evolutionary watches. He appears to be one of his creation and most likely not human. He probably began by making these hybrids of animals and humans before moving on to more advanced human life forms like the Sovereign, possibly. Therefore, it's possible that he invented the Sovereign. The post-credit scene from the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 would connect the two stories. Adam Warlock might be incorporated into the High Evolutionary arc in that way. The Guardians are then shown in a jumpsuit hopping from one spacecraft to another. Spacecraft first construction is another indication of his effort to incorporate even more seemingly insignificant elements. It even looks like it has hairs, which is such a neat touch. Later, Quill leaps onto one while watching over the white person who is practicing. Another thing you should remember is that this takes place after the events of Thor, Love and Thunder. So, even though they've been around for a while, it's probable that they will discuss events that occurred right after Avengers Endgame. One thing worth noting is that the MCU has a habit of turbulent time during their production due to James Gunn being fired and then rehired by Disney to finish the film. Thor will probably appear in this movie just a little bit, even if he only just has to show them dropping him off and going their separate ways and going into a different distress signal across the galaxy. The movie that was going to star Thor was the only one he originally planned to release before Thor, Love and Thunder. Then in the subsequent scene, Gamora may be seen carrying a photograph which Quill probably gave to her, most likely a photo of the two of them in the past since he wants her badly. Now, keep in mind that this is not the same Gamora that Guardians knew. Sadly, Thanos killed her to obtain the Soul Stone. Gamora entered into our timeline in 2014 and fled, and I believe that the space between them has helped Gamora from our own organization. The Guardians will first encounter this group of Ravagers after Nebula arranges a meeting for them, and because she's the only one with brief encounter with the Guardians in Avengers Endgame. This Gamora does not share the same bond with them as the previous one did. She's aware that Nebula is her sister though, of course. The two of them discussed this during Avengers Endgame, and it was obvious that they had established a method of communication. She's also aware of the Guardians' concern for R. Therefore, it appears that Gamora will attempt to assist them and maybe look for the High Evolutionary for personal reasons. She will, however, not focus on the Guardians once more. She's making it clear to Peter that she's not the woman that he fell in love with. I'm guessing a lot of people would miss this because if you looked harder, you would notice that Gamora kind of now has a bit of an edgy look to her style show. It is a slightly more rough and ready version of the character. Not only has she been with the Ravagers for some time, but she's not been through the love story that the original version did. Her hair has a couple of flicks out from the fringe, and it seems a bit more less groomed than she had been in the past. And now, the next scene then cuts to Rocket saying that he's done running. When he says that, the scene then cuts to where we see him in the background and a lot of stuff is on fire. It's in ruins, so it's safe to believe that he and the Guardians were attacked by someone, most likely the High Evolutionary and people who work for him. It therefore means that Aisha and the Sovereign are responsible for creating Adam Warlock, who we do see in the trailer. The Guardians are then shockingly seen in what appears to be in his cell, and it appears that Drax was shot. And it doesn't really look good because it looks like it is fatal. Mantis and Gamora are seen supporting him. I guess he tried to play the hero, tried to act smart, and got shot. Star-Lord is also visible in the distance. So, it seemed like they are planning a prison break. So Drax might end up giving up his life for the rest of the Guardian to flee. He is already wounded. And if you look closely all the way, you will see that there are spaceships coming in and going out of there. Then this view again of them, what seemed to be like a jumpsuit, indicating that it's a prison and what appears to be the High Evolutionary base. Speaking of Drax being in a poor condition, A few scenes earlier, they also showed Peter Quill appearing to be in a poor condition as Nebula carried him. And another thing I noticed is that I did not see Rocket in that cell. Now that they've been imprisoned at the facility by the High Evolutionary, they may have been captured and attempting to flee. Since Rocket Raccoon is an escaped experiment, it is possible that he has finally reached them, or that the Guardians have finally located him and that he has captured them. Regardless, he's speaking to Rocket Raccoon in this scene. So, there will be a confrontation between him and his maker. According to James Gunn, this film will be among the saddest MCU films ever, and I do believe that either Cosmo or Rocket may pass away. The poor man was experimented on, torn apart, and then put together again until he was able to escape the High Evolutionary's grasp. It appears that he has been evading the High Evolutionary and possibly the New Men for a very long time. But in this trailer, we hear him declare that he is finished running. And then the High Evolutionary appears, suggesting that they will pursue the most advanced evolutionary. If you look closely on his face, there appears to be a metal under his skin, and the cybernetic component on his back appears to be much more extensive. Now that we know what's going on in the Guardians of the Galaxy Vol.3, we can now see how frequently the High Evolutionary and the New Men were attacked. Due to this, the High Evolutionary created a suit of armor for protection. His trademark costume from the comics is one that we see in this trailer. He eventually came to the conclusion that the world was too small and confining for him. So, he converted the Citadel of Science into a spaceship, loaded it up with his experiments, and departed. They eventually landed on the planet where he built a replica of Earth. We see in this clip that he and his experiments called the New Man inherited and lived in a land that looked just like Earth, but on the other side of the sun. We even got the iconic back-to-back shooting scene that has been in several of the team's movies. It's a throwback to when Rocket and Groot performed this in jail before Baby Groot attacked Rocket. Regardless, they are seen soaring across space towards a meaty building. Later, it is discovered that this is the High Evolutionary's base. So, since appearing in the last movies as a teen, Groot has advanced significantly. He's considerably bigger and stubbier now, and Vin Diesel has stated in several interviews that he will play Emperor Groot in the movie. So, it would make sense for this movie that this is the large version of the character and that is kind of his final appearance. The heaviest part of this trailer is the High Evolutionary appearing mercilessly as we see drops of blood following Peter Quill screaming in agony, gazing at someone and crying. Additionally, this person appears to be attached to something as a tube can be seen there, suggesting that they are subjected to the High Evolutionary's experimentation. It is most likely Rocket in this case. We already know that some of the Guardians of the Galaxy are going to perish before the trailer was even released. But then, they showed us the other scene where Rocket Raccoon is laying on the ground and he says, "We all fly together one last time into the forever." When he says this, we see that there are pallets on the ground where he's lying as well. This may mean that the High Evolutionary captured Rocket and is furious with him for leaving and holds a bitter grudge against him. He's then treated like a raccoon, put in a cage and fed pallets. Rocket finds it somewhat torturous for being treated as an animal. We also catch a glimpse of Mantis sobbing uncontrollably in what appears to be a major panic. So, I'm speculating that Drax and Rocket may both die. After all, this is James Gunn's final Guardian movie, and he admitted that some characters will pass away. He claimed that while it won't be the total bloodbath like Suicide Squad, some of our favorite characters will eventually die. Dave Bautista confirmed that this will be his final appearance as Drax. His family's demise was caused by Thanos. The afterlife has recently received a lot of attention in the MCU thanks to the appearance in Moon Knight, Thor Love and Thunder, and Wakanda Forever. Additionally, there's also a scene featuring Adam Warlock, who will be portrayed by Will Poulter in his golden splendor. He has undergone experimentation just like Rocket and Cosmos, and we last saw him being created after Guardian of the Galaxy Vol.2. We saw Aisha creating a new life form in the post-credit scene of Guardian of the Galaxy Volume 2, which featured the Sovereign and Adam Warlock. She said she will call him Adam, and she said that she purposefully created a new being in its cocoon to kill the Guardians of the Galaxy. This is Adam Warlock, who is shown fighting Nebula in the trailer, or at least they are trying to make it appear that way. In the comics, this character has a strong connection to the Infinity Stone and is a major foe of Thanos. He also tries to pipe down the troll, who was made fun of towards the conclusion of the Eternals. Adam Warlock revealed to the world that he did give the golden tone to the Sovereign, from which he hails. The gem in the middle of his skull, which in the original comics would have been one of the Infinity Stones, and given to him by none other than the High Evolutionary, is, in my opinion, more intriguing. Remember that Adam Warlock will start as a villain and will likely change his ways, much like he did in the comics. He's a great hero in the comic books. Additionally, they indicated in the post-credit sequence that the council wanted to meet with Aisha, so it makes sense. The council might run to the High Evolutionary. In this clip, there is also a scene where the High Evolutionary is watching a woman run. She is currently moving on what resembles a cat wheel or hamster wheel in some way. This sort of demonstrates how the High Evolutionary tests experiments as animals. Yet, if we look at the woman sprinting, it will seem like she's a person. Now, if I think he manufactured her, I don't believe that she's a real human. Here, the trailer's last few details. Star-Lord may be seen tackling someone out of the window and throwing them onto the ground as they fall. This person is dressed entirely in white and it leaps out of the window. You could see another person dressed entirely in white laying dead on the ground. Additionally, when Star-Lord and Groot are shooting their way out of something, we can see additional people dressed entirely in white laying on the ground. For these people to be a new iteration of the High Evolutionary New Man, he's now just employing humanoid experiments to be his new man rather than just using experiments that are part humanoid and half animal. These are the key details about the Guardian of the Galaxy that you should be aware of. And along with the fact that we now have a much stronger Groot who appears to be more apt with using his body as a weapon. With 4 arms, he can fire 4 weapons simultaneously, which gives him a tactical advantage. Rocket embracing Lena is a fantastic, extremely happy moment that occurs towards the end of this trailer. In the comics, Lena is Rocket's girlfriend. Like him, she's genetically enhanced, she is an otter. But it's cool that Layla has been mentioned before in the MCU. When the Guardians of the Galaxy are imprisoned and Nova Corps is checking their criminal records, she was mentioned as the original Guardian of the Galaxy. Groot and Layla are Rocket Raccoon's allies, as they are shown. This makes us assume that they are already dating because of the manner they embrace one another, and since in the comics they are each other's true love. All in all, as it wraps up the tale of this team and their journey together, the Guardian movie trailer is full of humorous elements that we've come to expect from the franchise. In addition to Peter Quill's attempt to restart the romance with Gamora, even though she isn't the same person. The teaser also refers to the Rocket Raccoon origin tale and the early experiments that helped develop Rocket Raccoon into the character that he is today. All of this is naturally occurring as the cast struggles to deal with Adam Warlock, a brand new character who is played by no other than Will Poulter. Guys, and back to our giveaway. We're still giving out a brand new PlayStation 5 on this channel to one lucky subscriber once we hit a milestone of 1,000 subscribers. And all you have to do to win is watch our videos, subscribe, turn on post notification, like and comment. And one lucky subscriber will be chosen from the comment section to win our brand new PlayStation 5. Also, we want to say thank you to everyone who has supported us this far. We truly appreciate it. What are your thoughts about this video? What do you think about the Guardian of the Galaxy trailer, and which of the Guardian of the Galaxy character do you think might end up biting the dust? Please don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Subscribe and turn on the post notifications so you don't miss out on any of our latest Marvel news. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I hope to see you in the next one.